Today, I'm going to teach you how to play Stonefall. Stonefall is a turn-based RPG, dungeon crawling, single-player card game that you can play with two standard decks of cards. This game is a Regicide variant, so if you're familiar with Regicide, you'll pick this game up very quickly. We can play this with standard cards, but we obviously have some fun custom cards in front of us to help get into the lore. So to prepare this game, you need to take one deck of cards and pull out only the spades and clubs. This will be your monster deck that will be placed up here. In addition to the 26 monsters that are your spades and clubs, you need one card to represent a Philosopher's Stone. I would recommend using the Ace of Diamonds if you're playing with standard playing cards, but in this playthrough, I have a custom Philosopher's Stone card that I will put in, and I will mix that into my monster deck. You would shuffle that all up, and then you would deal 3 monsters at the start of the game to represent a lore in the dungeon. Then on the lower half, we can see we have our tavern deck or our hero deck. This deck is very similar to Regicide. It will include all 2 through 10s and aces for hearts, spades, clubs, and diamonds. So all suits, 2 through 10 and aces. We will just be removing jacks, kings, and queens. And then we will keep our 2 jokers down here to be used later. So at the beginning of the game, you will deal 3 monsters to represent your dungeon, and then you will draw 8 cards, which is your max hand size. Each turn goes through essentially the same 4 phases as Regicide, if you're familiar with that. So phase 1 will be attacking, then we will activate the card's abilities, then we will need to receive damage, and then we will clean up. So, how do we go about playing the game? Well, every monster has a strength and a health. And at the start, the strength and the health match the value of the card. So this fire elemental has 8 health and 8 strength. And as a dungeon floor, we have 14 health and 14 strength to go through. So we get to start as the player, and we get to make the first attack. So to attack, we can select a card, and we can attack it. This card has a strength of 8 as well. So we would defeat our fire elemental in this case. At the time after attack, the hero cards are discarded face up, and when monsters are removed, they are just completely removed from the game, so you can move those off to the side. And then this can be our discard pile over here. So after our attack, we would trigger our cards' abilities. Like Regicide, hearts are clerics and they heal. What that indicates is you can take cards from your discard pile equal to the face card's value, shuffle it up, and then put it underneath your deck. So clerics are a very valuable way to replenish cards from your discard pile back into your tavern deck. However, we did not have any cards in our discard pile during this turn, so no ability takes place. That will lead to the next phase, which is we now need to take the oncoming attack. So they attack at the same time, which means we need to take 6. To take an attack, we would discard a series of cards that sum to 6. So we could discard maybe 2, 2, 3, or we could discard just our single 6. I think I'll do that, and that will allow us to take on that attack. Now it's our turn again, so we get to attack. Just like in Regicide, Warrior's ability is they double the attack of their face value. So if we were to attack the Will-O-Wisp with our recruit, because our 2 is a warrior club, that would double. That's his ability. So that would actually attack for 4 and allow us to kill the Will-O-Wisp. There is no immunity to certain abilities as there is in Regicide, so clubs get to double even when they are attacking club monsters. So now we need to take an attack from 2 from the rat, so we will just guard that with our Gate Sentinel. And then we can attack with our foot soldier. on the rat, and that is enough to kill him. So he can be removed. And then that we make our way to the next floor in the dungeon. Similar to Scoundrel, face cards have values in this game where jacks are 11, queens are 12, kings are 13, and aces are 14. I do think this makes the game very beatable. If you want more of a challenge, I typically play this game on hard mode, which would add 5 to these. So jacks would have 16, queens 17, kings 18, and aces 19. You can find that that mode can be quite challenging. So continuing with our playthrough, we can take our Grand Cleric, which could deal 10, and we can use our companion, our animal companion, our ace. Similar to Regicide, you can attach an animal companion to one card when you are attacking. That increases the value by 1, because aces are 1, giving this attack 11. And it applies the additional ability. So we've seen that clerics allow us to replenish our discard pile, and warriors double the attack. So this becomes 11 doubled, which is 22, and that's more than enough to defeat our queen mummy. So we can discard that. And then prior to putting these into the discard pile, we need to enact our ability. So we would shuffle up our discard pile, and then we would take the 11 cards. We have less than 11, and we can place that to the bottom of our tavern deck. And then we can add these 2 cards to our discard pile. Now, we need to take 14 damage, but we only have 7. So what we need to do is we need to use our first joker. You can use a joker by turning it over. When you do that, you discard your hand, and then you can replenish, drawing back up to 8 cards. So we'll draw back up to 8 here. And I typically play with more space than this, so let me reframe a little bit. And we still need to take that 14. So let's see here. Maybe we would take... We'll just take these 2 for now, because I want to keep some other cards and to show their abilities. So we'll take these 2. They sum for 15. That's more than enough to take the attack. And we'll put that into our discard pile. So continuing with play, we can showcase some of the other suits' abilities. First is bards or diamonds. Bards, like Regicide, allow you to draw the number of cards equal to the face card's value up until the max hand size of 8. So if we attack the skeleton with our Herald, that would defeat the skeleton and allow us to draw 6 cards, but that would just get us actually back to our max hand size of 8. Now we need to take the attack from the mana core, so we will guard with our 10. And now that it's our turn, we need to be able to deal at least 9 damage. We could attack with a 5 of spades here. Probably the last mechanic to learn is you can combine cards of the same value if they sum to less than 10. So we can actually play 2 5s here together, sum their value, and apply both abilities. You could do this with, 3 2s or 3 3s, as long as they sum to less than 10 and they have the same value, that is fine. So here we do 10 damage. That is enough to defeat the mana core, so we will destroy him. We'll then take our cards and we will shuffle them up from the discard pile. We'll count out our 10. Because we had a cleric's ability, we can apply that back to our tavern. You will be needing to cycle through your deck because we have a lot of monsters to get through. So next, we have continuing play. The ability I would like to showcase next would be the Watch Guard, or sorry, the Paladins rather. And by doing that, or to demonstrate that, I will play the Watch Guard. The Paladin ability reduces the strength of a monster as well. So if I were to, say, play a paladin on the undead monster, that would reduce his health by 3, as well as his strength by 3. So then if we continued play, we would need to take 7, 9, 12 damage. We could take maybe the 12 by destroying our 2 7s. And then playing maybe our 2, 3. That would be enough to destroy our undead. And would actually let us, draw 3 new cards because we played a Tavern Minstrel and then cycle 3 back in here. I will not continue play at this point. I think you understand the core dynamics of the game. The last piece to note is if you do enter a dungeon where you see the Philosopher's Stone, all you can do is pick up the stone. You can put that to the side. You need to defeat all the monsters, escape the dungeon with the stone in hand to win the game. So it does not have any special abilities, but it does make the floor you run into a little bit easier because there's one less monster to fight. And that is Stonefall. The sort of lore of the game is the Philosopher's Stone falls into the enemy's hands, and the royals need to summon their strongest paladins, bards, clerics, and warriors to go into the dungeon, fight the monsters, retrieve the stone, and return it to the royals. So that is the game. If you would like to play it, or if you have any feedback on the rules, just sort of piecing it together now. If you want to play the game for yourself, you can at stonefallgame.com. You can always come here, read the tutorial. If you forget the rules, you can play in hard or normal mode. And it is just the game that we spoke about, so should play at least exactly the same. Hopefully it does. If you run into any issues, please don't hesitate to reach out. Let me know if things look wrong. You can shoot me an email, contact@stonefallgame.com. The link to this will be in the description. The link to the email will be in the description. If you have any feedback on the game, ways to make it better, let me know. I hope you guys enjoy it. Hopefully you guys can play it right now with the decks of cards in your house you already have. Let me know what you think.